Hi, I'm Jill MacKay, and I'm excited to show you how to paint, stamp, and bead die-cut leather for a really wonderful multimedia look. So the first thing you're going to do, if you're going to be stamping, which I am, is to load the stamp. And I'm just going to press really nice and hard. And I'm going to go in a horizontal fashion here as I stamp, but you may choose to go in a vertical fashion. You can go off the edge. I don't mind the blurred look. I really don't want perfect, but I'm just gonna stamp away here. And what I really like to tell people about this process is there's no wrong way to do it, because you're going to fill this with different colors, and even if you get muddy in a spot, it won't matter because you're going to be cutting it down into smaller shapes, which actually creates little canvases of its own. And you can always go back in and add different colored paints to the smaller shapes. So I gave that a good shake, and you heard that it has like a ball bearing, but this metal paint is water-based, so it's super clean, easy to clean up your brushes. And I'm just using like a watercolor brush. And on my stamps, I'm just gonna go in here. I'm gonna paint this happy star yellow. And I have to say, it's kind of like coloring in a coloring book. It's super fun to do. It's very relaxing, and it's painterly. I enjoy being able to make a leather pattern with different colors that nobody else has because I just painted and stamped it. So basically, you have tons of choices of rubber stamps wherever you go, and there's an entire range of the metal paints. So you're really pretty limitless in what you can do. You would just continue on until your heart's content. And here I have one that I've already finished. Now we're ready to die cut. And we're going to put our steel rule die, which is magnetic, onto the shuttle, and it stays put where you want it, which is great. I'm going to take the leather, and I'm going to put the patterned face down. Now, I could put it where I want it, but I like to conserve leather, so I'm just going to go ahead, place that leather face down, and then put a cutting pad on top. I'm just going to roll it through. It's just that simple. So we've cut one of those. And we need two smaller ones, so I'll take the smaller circle, change it out. Again, I'm going to conserve my leather. Put the cutting pad on top. Oops, it's a little, sometimes I conserve too much and run off the edge. There we go. And cut one more. Again, put the cutting pad on top and just run it through. Just like that. Super simple. So notice how these two pieces are very different. Well, then I would probably either cut another one or just go back in again with my paints and make them match up just a little bit more. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to add a picot edge along the side of this die cut shape. Now, I'm using a size 12 needle and just some beading thread. And here I have some inexpensive Chinese crystal and some size 11 seed beads. When you're first starting, you're going to come from the back to the front, and you are not going to pierce the front of the leather. That would be very difficult to go through, and you'd have to generally make holes. But you can see that I'm still getting enough leather here to hold that thread in place. So I'm going front to back, and I'm leaving about a 4-inch tail. I'm just going to pick up one Chinese crystal. I'm going to try to pick up one little seed bead, and then a second crystal. Okay, and then I'm going to come back through the same place, and I'm going to tighten that up just like that. I caught my tail, so we'll want to get that out of the way. Okay, so the next step would be you're going to come back through that last bead that you put on. Just like that. And that sets securely. those 3 beads. From now on, you're only going to do 2 beads. You're going to do 1 seed bead and 1 crystal. And the seed bead is the one that ends up popping up, being the picot that sticks out, makes it look really fresh. And you simply continue in this fashion all the way around and then tie it off. Now it's the same process for the smaller circles, but I've replaced the Chinese crystal with a size 11, and here for the picot, I've used a tiny little size 15, but it's the same process, 3 beads, 2 beads, 2 beads. Next, we're gonna take, and we would cut our background shapes, which become the bases of our necklace, and we're gonna be gluing these 2 shapes together. So I'm gonna put them face down, but I'm only gonna put the glue on one of the shapes. We don't need it on both. This is a specialty glue that's made just for leather, but it is also water-based, which is great. I'm using a 1/2-inch brush. I'm not being very careful, though I am getting glue on the entire surface of one shape. Rotating it a little. And then you want to match up your daisies just like this. Press nice and firm. Excuse me. Then I like to go around and press all the way around to make sure you have really good adhesion. The next step, then we're going to take this. This is the thinner layering leather, which is a lambskin. I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to get rid of the excess water. And then I'm going to go right here. Again, putting the glue and then center it. Okay, now that would want to dry, and I have one that's already dry. The next step is we're going to go ahead and, we're going to punch a hole. So we're going to set this rivet through both layers. I use the smallest hole punch on my rotary hole punch. Here I've got my anvil and my setter. And I'm going to place my eyelet right into that hole, just like that. And I've got the flange side up. I'm going to set it on top of the anvil. And then you're going to strike and rotate. Whoops, mine moved off the top of the anvil. So I'm resetting it. And you want to rotate as you strike. So you have the eyelets are set. Now comes the fun part. You're just going to join these pieces together. So I did the small ones exactly the same way. Cut 2 holes and I set 2 eyelets. I'm simply going to join these pieces together with a large jump ring. It's a twisted wire so it catches the light a little bit more. You know what? I missed a step. I need to add the bead part on here. So I'm just going to go back and do that. This one's dry. It's kind of important to put the prettiest part on. When you're going to put the glue on the beaded part, you really want to make sure that you're only putting it on the leather, not the beads. Okay? So I'm just going to be a little more careful as I glue this. And then I'm going to center this again. I'm sorry, I think that's just so pretty. Now I can put them together. So I'm just gonna, and the eyelets really keep the leather secure. So you simply put them together in this fashion. And I've got 2 2mm pieces of leather cord. It's pearlized. I have an end cap that I would use super glue gel to glue it on. And they have these really wonderful clasps that have end caps built into them. And you do the same thing by gluing. And then you're simply going to use the larger jump rings to connect everything. It's super simple to make something that looks very expensive. And I'll be right back with another project.